Discover how a heartwarming act by a homeless girl changed the life of a hidden millionaire heir. Mia woke to the sounds of the city bustling above her, cars honking, people chatting, life moving forward, while she lay beneath the vast concrete overpass. Just 16, she navigated her world with grit and grace. Each day was a battle, not just for survival, but for dignity. With the sun breaking over the skyline, she climbed out of her makeshift bed of old blankets. She had a routine to uphold. Clearing trash from the local park filled her with purpose. As she picked up litter, she dreamed of a better life, a small apartment, a school where she belonged, and maybe, just maybe, a future where hardships weren't her constant companion. Her father once said, "Hard work and resilience will light your way." Those words echoed in her mind like a mantra. She set her jaw, ready to tackle the day. Even as she scrubbed graffiti off benches, she smiled, thinking that every clean space she created could spark a little joy for someone. It was small acts that could lead to bigger change, and Mia believed in their power, even when the world around her looked grim. Across town, in his sparkling penthouse, Daniel stared at the skyline. He had everything: money, luxury, a name that held weight, but he felt suffocated by expectations. Each day bled together, a slow and heavy routine filled with polite smiles and hollow conversations. Loneliness wrapped around him like a thick blanket, and he yearned for something real. Something different. On an impulse, he slipped out for a walk, leaving behind the golden chains of his privilege. As he wandered, he stumbled upon a community event buzzing with life. Chaotic laughter and vibrant stalls beckoned him in. Clutching his chest, he felt like an outsider, a fish out of water. That's when he spotted her, Mia, her hands stained with paint and her hair in a messy bun, bustling among the crowd. Her voice rang out, slicing through the noise as she drew in children to help clean up. She was a whirlwind of energy, and she instinctively noticed Daniel, standing alone. "Hey! You look lost," she called, her eyes bright and inviting. It was in her gaze that he found warmth. For a moment, the weight on his shoulders lifted. "Want to help me? We're cleaning up for a better park." She insisted, and before he realized it, he found himself drawn into her world. As their friendship blossomed, Daniel felt a crack in his careful facade. Mia's spirit inspired him. She showed him the beauty of resilience. Together, they brainstormed ideas for an initiative to support the homeless, and for the first time, Daniel felt a glimmer of hope, the chance to make a genuine difference. But beneath the surface, shadows of his family's legacy loomed large. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. But just as their plans gained momentum, a hidden family secret emerged, threatening to tear their fragile bond apart. Mia faced trials that tested her resolve, and Daniel grappled with haunting choices between loyalty to his family and the desire to stand up for what was right. Their worlds hung in the balance, each step forward feeling like a tightrope walk over deep waters. Would Daniel embrace the courage Mia inspired in him, or would the pressures of his world pull him back into isolation? As they stood at the brink of transformation, hearts pounding with hope and fear, one question lingered in the air: could they redefine their futures together, despite the weight of their worlds? The following week, Mia threw herself into her work, determined to make every moment count. The park she loved was starting to bloom with color, a palette of vibrant flowers popping against the green expanse. With Daniel by her side, more volunteers joined in, and laughter filled the air as they scrubbed, painted, and planted. It felt like magic, each small improvement shimmering with possibility. One afternoon, while they painted together, she caught Daniel looking lost in thought. His face clouded with an unfamiliar heaviness. "What's on your mind?" she asked, brushing a streak of blue paint from her cheek, her heart racing a little. She could sense something was bothering him. "I've been thinking about my family," Daniel admitted, staring at the nearly finished mural. "They don't understand what I want to do. They want me to play the role, keep the family name strong. But I've found something different here. With you. Mia studied him, understanding dawning. You're scared of breaking away from expectations. It's more than just fear, he said, rubbing the back of his neck. There's pressure. My father, he has plans for me, and it feels like a trap sometimes. I don't know if I can just walk away. Her heart ached for him. But if you don't, will you ever find happiness? Will you ever feel free? She reached out, her hand brushing against his. It was electric, and she caught her breath. You deserve to follow your heart, Daniel. He turned to her, those deep, searching eyes searching hers. The world around them faded, leaving only the two of them amidst a tapestry of paint and hope. You make me want to try, he said softly. Just then, a loud commotion broke their moment. A man stumbled into the park, his clothes tattered and his expression wild. He looked lost, desperate. Mia immediately recognized him as Jason, a local who struggled with addiction and often haunted the nearby alleys. Panic washed over Mia as she moved towards him instinctively, aware of the volatile energy radiating from him. Hey, Jason. You okay? She called, trying to sound as calm as possible, even as her heart raced. Daniel followed closely behind, tension tightening in the air. The crowd around them buzzed, glancing nervously. Get away from me. Jason shouted, his voice cracked with pain and anger, eyes darting. Mia took a breath, knowing that he needed compassion, not fear. Jason. We're here to help. Please, just talk to us, she pleaded, stepping forward cautiously. Daniel watched Mia, admiration swelling in his chest. Her courage was bewildering. She didn't back down, even when faced with the threat of a stranger's turmoil. But at the same time, Daniel felt a tide of responsibility surging from his family's expectations. All of a sudden, he was torn between the fight for what was right and the looming shadow of his family's reputation. As Mia made her way closer to Jason, she felt the familiar grip of uncertainty gripping her heart. Would her approach work, or was she putting herself in danger? It was a risk, but one she was willing to take. The moment hung in the air, filled with unspoken tension. Daniel's eyes searching Mia's, hoping for the strength he felt he lacked. Then suddenly, Jason turned as if he sensed the shift, and in that instant, he met Mia's gaze. The connection sparked something between them, something that felt raw and real. Would this encounter break through the walls Jason had built around him? Would Mia's bravery inspire Daniel to choose his own path, or would fear drive him back into the shadows? All eyes were on them as everything hung on a knife's edge, waiting for just one small step. Mia took a slow, measured breath, allowing her instincts to guide her. She saw the wild uncertainty in Jason's eyes, caught somewhere between fear and the desire for connection, in desperate need of a lifeline. The crowd held its breath, tension thick enough to slice through. Jason, she said softly, her voice steady and filled with warmth. I know you're hurting. You don't have to go through this alone. Just talk to me, okay? Tell me what you need. Her words wrapped around him like a comforting blanket, and for a moment, she thought she saw a flicker of something, a whisper of recognition. But then his eyes clouded again, the pain returning like storm clouds on a sunny day. Help? Nobody wants to help me. He spat, fists clenched. I'm just a mess, a loser. You're just going to judge me like everyone else. Mia shook her head, stepping even closer. No, Jason. I'm here because I care. Because I've seen what it's like to feel broken and alone. It doesn't mean you have to stay that way. Behind her, Daniel felt his heart pound. He wanted to scream at Jason to calm down, yet admired Mia's bravery. She wasn't backing down. Something in her words made him want to support her, to stand alongside her and fight against the tide of fear and shame. Come on, man, Daniel added, finding his voice, emboldened by Mia's resolve. We aren't here to judge you. Just give us a chance. Let us help. Jason's expression shifted slightly, uncertainty battling with anger. He glanced from Mia to Daniel, searching for something, a sign that they were genuine. The buzzing crowd felt distant, like a stormy ocean beyond the rocks they stood on. I don't trust people anymore. Jason mumbled, his voice shaky. Mia nodded, understanding more than he realized. That's okay. Trust takes time, and I'm not here to rush you. But what if we start real small? Let us just talk about what is going on. You're not alone, Jason. We can figure this out together. For a heartbeat, Mia could feel hope crack through the suffocating layers of despair that surrounded them. Daniel watched intently, filled with a new awareness of the impact of human connection. Look, Jason said, his voice softening. Why would you care? I'm just a nobody. You're not a nobody, Mia insisted, tears threatening to spill. The passion in her voice hung heavy in the air. You are worth so much more than you realize. Everyone has a story, and I want to hear yours. Daniel felt an electric pulse Mia's grace infusing light where there had only been darkness. In that moment, he saw what his own heart had been yearning for, the freedom to choose compassion over fear, to stand for something more significant than reputation. As Jason hesitated, seeming to grapple with his pride and desperation, the crowd began to murmur. Whispers flitted through the bystanders, awe mixing with admiration. A community's response to humanity laid bare. Witnessing Mia's courage ignited a shift within them. Then, Jason took a small, shaky step forward. Fine, he said. But don't think I'm going to spill my guts just like that. Mia smiled, the tension easing as she sensed a breakthrough. That's all right. All I'm asking is for a chat, no pressure. Daniel felt the metal within him grow stronger as he realized that walking this path with Mia made him feel more alive than the weight of his family's expectations ever could. He reached out and placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder, feeling the power of shared purpose surge between them. As the tension eased, Mia and Daniel looked at each other, an unspoken agreement forming. They would navigate this path together, embracing the unknown. But would they truly uncover the layers of pain Jason had built around his heart? Or would fear prove too strong to dismantle? An unseen ripple lingered in the air, promising transformation. What would happen next was a story waiting to unfold, each moment steeped in potential, as they took their next steps into the unknown. Jason hesitated, his breath coming in short gasps. The weight of the moment hung heavily around them. He had never been good at sharing his feelings, the scars of judgment ran deep. Yet, for some reason, in front of Mia and Daniel, a tiny part of him wanted to try. Okay, maybe I'll start with something small, Jason mumbled, looking at the ground. He wouldn't meet their eyes, but Mia sensed a willingness, a flicker of vulnerability. I'm just tired. Tired of pretending everything's okay when it's not. Mia felt a flame of hope ignite. Tired is a good place to start, she replied. Tired means you're ready to change. What are you tired of the most? As she asked, she subtly shifted her stance, making it clear that she was there to listen, truly listen, without judgment. Jason scratched the back of his neck, looking lost. It's just. I don't know. I've been fired from every job I've had. My friends don't understand me. I feel like I'm just drifting. Like I don't even remember the last time I felt happy. The crowd was still, wrapped with attention. In the hushed silence, Daniel saw tears threaten to spill from Mia's eyes. He squeezed her shoulder, silently supporting her. This was a pivotal moment for Jason, something that could either crush him or begin to heal his wounds. Jason, Daniel started, his voice firm yet gentle, there's nothing wrong with feeling lost. It happens to everyone, and it's okay. You're not alone in this. For real, Mia added, her voice warm and reassuring. No one has it all figured out. Life is a journey, and sometimes we just need others to help light our way. Jason's gaze shifted between them, his walls slowly crumbling. But I don't know how to trust anymore, he admitted. Mia thought for a moment, then pointed to the crowd. Look at all these people. They're not judging you. They're rooting for you. They see you. It's hard to believe, but when we open up, connections start forming. Isn't that what we're all looking for? He blinked, absorbing her words. That flicker of recognition returned, flickering more brightly this time. What if I mess up again? What if I push you both away? Then we'll figure that out too, Daniel said, his confidence building. Messing up is part of life. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be willing to try. Jason took a breath, letting the warmth of Mia's and Daniel's words seep in. For the first time in a long while, he felt a touch of hope. I guess I wouldn't mind trying, he said slowly, his voice cracking. Mia smiled, her heart swelling. Good. Let us start with something small to build from. Tell me about a time you felt even a little bit happy. Jason hesitated, his mind racing. Memories twisted through him, some painful, some joyful. Finally, he spoke tentatively. There was this one time. I found a stray puppy. I spent the whole day with it. It was so happy, just running around. While he recalled the experience, Mia and Daniel exchanged glances, both feeling the room shift as vulnerability began to spread like warm sunlight. The crowd, initially tense with judgment, was now leaning in, invested in Jason's slow unveiling of himself. As Jason continued recalling that simple day, laughter broke through the cloud of despair that had suffocated him for so long. Every word shared seemed to chip away at a little more of the ice that surrounded his heart. See? Mia encouraged. You have joy inside you. It's okay to let it out. In that moment, Jason felt something shift within. The spark of connection was there, and it felt fragile but powerful. He wasn't alone, even surrounded by onlookers, he felt held in a cocoon of understanding. But as he began to share more, further revealing layers of his heart, he felt the gnawing doubts creep back in. What if they left as soon as things got tough? What if he lost the little warmth they had sparked? And out of nowhere, a new voice cut through the air, unnervingly familiar, pulling him back into a reality he fought so hard to escape. Why are you wasting your time with them, Jason? You know they won't stick around. Panic seized him as he recognized that voice, echoing his deepest fears. Would he ever truly escape the judgment of those who had once hurt him? As all eyes turned toward the source, Jason's heart raced. What now? Would fear overthrow the fragile connection he had begun to build, or could he find the strength to silence that voice once and for all? Jason's heart pounded like a drum, drowning out the sycophantic laughter that echoed in his mind. The familiar voice cut through the chatter like a knife, slicing through the moment of honesty he had dared to grasp. He swallowed hard, trying to shake off the dread as he turned to face whoever had spoken. The crowd had tensed, the air buzzing with silent anticipation. All eyes were now on a newcomer, a girl standing at the edge of the group, dirt smudged across her cheeks, hair tangled in wild knots. She couldn't have been older than 16, clinging to an old blanket like it was a safety net. A ripple of uncertainty rippled through those present. She clearly didn't belong to their world, and yet her presence pulled this moment into stark contrast. Who do you think you are? She yelled, her voice breaking but fierce. You think you know him, but you don't know anything. Jason felt the electric jolt of her words, a mix of confusion and curiosity that intertwined. A flicker of defiance surged within him. Maybe this girl understood, even just a little. Mia took a step forward. Wait, no. The girl interrupted, stepping closer, her eyes boring into Jason's as if he was the only person in the room. You're tired of pretending, right? So why let someone else tell you what you are? Why listen to that voice in your head? Her voice trembled, but it rang with a painful truth. Jason's breath hitched. A part of him wanted to shrink away, retreat into himself. But another part, a stronger part, wanted to push back, to grab hold of the courage he'd been inching toward. Do you really think no one cares? She continued, her intensity compelling. You're not alone, you know. I may not know you, but I see you, you're real. Something about her earnestness struck a chord. For just a second, the familiar doubts began to lose their power. It was like she held a mirror up to him, reflecting all the struggles he had felt inside but had been too afraid to voice. Why don't you tell them instead? She urged, gesturing to the crowd. Tell them how you feel. It's okay to be scared. It's okay to mess up. Jason looked around the circle, his pulse racing. Mia's expression was soft, filled with empathy. Daniel nodded, encouraging him with his eyes. He realized just how much these people wanted him to open up, to break free from the chains of his past. The girl stepped even closer, her body trembling with emotion. "You think no one would stick around?" "But I would," she whispered, her voice cracking. "I'm just a kid, but I've seen worse. We all have scars. Some of us hide them better than others." Jason's heart twisted. Could he really let himself be vulnerable? Could he trust them enough, even when that damning voice whispered in his ear? "In my world," she breathed, "we have to stand together. Otherwise, we might as well be invisible." A wave of emotion flooded Jason. It was scary, this feeling of connection. But in that moment, facing this girl, the only one willing to stand up for him, he felt a flicker of something he hadn't seen in a long time: hope. "What if I let you down?" he let out, his voice barely above a whisper. "Then we'll pick you back up," she answered, determination blazing in her eyes. "But you gotta start first." Jason took a shaky breath. She was right. This could be his moment. It was time to shatter the walls that had kept him ensnared for far too long. He stepped forward, heart racing, determined to push through the fear. "Okay," then he paused, looking to the crowd. "I guess I just need to start with what's been heavy on my heart." Just as he began to share, the girl's words echoed in his head, but before he could dive deeper, a shout came from the back of the crowd. "Watch out. Something's happening." All heads turned, panic jolting through the group. Whatever was coming, it felt like another test, the kind Jason had faced too many times before. Would he stand strong, or would he turn and run? With confusion swirling in the air, Jason took a breath, ready to lean into the uncertainty. This time, he wouldn't turn away, he would confront whatever came next. "Stay with me," he urged softly, looking not just to Mia and Daniel, but to the girl who had sparked this moment. He had made a decision. There was no looking back now. But as the crowd gasped, Jason found himself wondering if this moment could change everything, or if the universe was simply giving him another chance to prove himself. Jason barely had time to consider the weight of the moment. Tendrils of anxiety coiled around him as the crowd's collective gaze shifted toward the commotion. From the back, a group of older boys burst through the tangle of bodies, shoving their way to the front. "What is going on? What is wrong?" one of them shouted, a mix of annoyance and bravado lacing his tone. The girl clutched her blanket tighter, fear flickering in her eyes, but she stood firm. Jason felt a surge of protectiveness for her, the strength she had shown echoing in his soul. He couldn't let this moment slip away. "Stay here," he whispered to her, even though she'd already been the bold one. That the tension escalated as the boys began to jeer, their laughter harsh and mocking. "Look at this freak show," one of them sneered, pointing toward the girl. "What, you gonna tell us your sad story too?" Jason felt a fire ignite inside him. He stepped forward instinctively, positioning himself between the newcomer and the group of boys. "Stop it," he shouted, the words bursting forth, louder than he intended. "She deserves respect. Just like all of us." Mia and Daniel moved to flank him, their expressions resolute. The girl, emboldened by their support, lifted her chin defiantly, and Jason could see the strength glimmering in her eyes. "Yeah, listen to the rich kid," the leader of the boys scoffed, flicking his hair back. "What do you know about it? You just sit on your throne while we have real problems." In that moment, Jason felt the weight of every unspoken word crowd his throat. All his fears and insecurities twisted like knots in his stomach. Maybe this was the moment to expose that hidden side of himself, the part that felt lost among the wealth, always trying to meet impossible expectations. Suddenly, his own shield of privilege felt tenuous and fragile. "I know what it's like to feel invisible," Jason said, his voice steadying. "I know what it feels like to be trapped, afraid to be yourself." The words came alive, each one igniting a spark deep within him. "And it's time for all of us to stop hiding. We need to support each other, not tear each other down." Silence fell over the crowd. Even the boys' laughter faded, replaced by an uncertain murmur. Jason took a breath, the air around him crackling with the weight of vulnerability. The girl beside him smiled, her eyes shining with gratitude. Exactly. She chimed in, her voice ringing out above the hushed tension. Instead of pushing each other away, we need to lift each other up. We all fight battles you can't see. Jason glanced around. He saw Mia's eyes widen in realization, a flicker of pride breaking through her earlier concern. Daniel's supportive nod reassured him. They were all here, finally ready to embrace something real. A few attendees began to voice their agreement, emboldened by Jason's outburst. Yeah, we're tired of this, one girl chimed in, her voice gaining strength. We just want to be seen. That simple truth, bare and raw, began to reverberate through the crowd. But just as the wave of solidarity started to swell, the boys took a step forward, escalating the confrontation. Cute speech, but how about you and your little friend step aside before we determine who gets to stay? Jason felt his heart race again. This was no longer just about him, it was about all of them. And suddenly, he understood the choice laid out before him. Are you really willing to let fear control this moment? He challenged, his gaze locked with the leaders. Before any answer could come, a blaring siren pierced the thickened air, causing heads to whip around in alarm. What now? Someone breathed, tension refilling the atmosphere. Jason's heart raced. He could feel the stir of uncertainty, trickling back into the crowd. Would they retreat? Would that fleeting moment of connection, the one that could change everything, disperse like a breath of mist? And just as his resolve began to unravel, Jason took one final look at the girl beside him, her unwavering strength anchoring him. Maybe, just maybe, this was the moment that would shift the narrative from fear to something larger, something meaningful. What would he choose? Would he fight for the truth that had finally surfaced, or let it slip through his fingers? With nothing but courage in his heart, he stood rooted, ready to face whatever storm was about to break. As voices rose and the sirens howled, a glimmer of hope ignited within him. Was this the beginning of a new chapter? Could he really unearth the truth, as messy and raw as it might be? Stay strong, he whispered, looking back at the girl, ready for the challenge ahead. The crowd erupted into chaos, the siren's wail cutting through the tension like a knife. Jason's heart pounded in his chest as he glanced back at the girl beside him, her fear momentarily replaced by a fierce determination. It filled him with a surge of hope. Stay close, he urged, not letting his eyes wander far from the encroaching boys. They were still poised for confrontation. Jason's mind raced, he didn't want to be just a spectator in this fight. The boys narrowed their eyes, their bravado flickering in the face of the approaching police car. You think we're scared of some sirens? The leader sneered, but Jason caught the tremor in his voice. Maybe you should be, Jason shot back, surprising himself. The words were bold, fueled by adrenaline and the collective energy of the crowd. Mia and Daniel flanked Jason, a united front against the growing hostility. The murmurs of support from those around him were reassuring, voices merging into a powerful chorus, "We're together." Suddenly, a police officer stepped out of the vehicle, a seasoned gaze sweeping over the gathered crowd. "What is going on here?" he demanded, his voice steady but firm. The authoritative presence directed the chaos away from individual confrontations, throwing a light on the whole situation. "We were just," one boy began, but the officer cut him off, his eyes narrowing. "I don't want to hear excuses." He focused on the girl clutching her blanket, her figure still trembling. "Are you okay?" Jason didn't wait for her to respond. "She's more than okay," he said fervently. "We're all okay, but we're tired of this bullying." The weight of his words hung heavily, and he felt the crowd rally behind him. The officer's brow furrowed, sensing the pulse of something deeper beneath what appeared to be a mere scuffle. "Let us calm down and sort this out," he instructed, walking closer, his presence casting a shield over the girl. The boys muttered among themselves, unsure. Something had shifted. The air crackled with potential. Jason could see the fence of fear in their faces starting to crumble. The girl stepped forward beside him, more emboldened now. "We're just trying to be heard," she said, her voice not shaking. We all have stories. We want connection, not confrontation. Her vulnerability reverberated through the audience. Jason couldn't help but glance at Daniel and Mia. He saw the astonishment in their eyes. It was like witnessing a spark ignite a fire. The officer nodded, clearly swayed by her words. You're right. Everyone has a story worth sharing, the officer replied, a sense of understanding emerging. But no one should be made to feel less than they are. A tentative silence enveloped the scene, a fragile moment where understanding blurred the edges of hostility. The group of boys shifted uneasily, the unity they relied upon now feeling less solid. See, this isn't about any of us feeling superior, Jason ventured further, emboldened by the lull of conflict. We all have things we hide. When we expose those, we find strength. Heads nodded in the crowd, a genuine connection brewing, and the change felt palpable. Yet, the leader of the boys still clenched his fists, frustration etched on his face. Jason held his breath. Would they surrender to this newfound alliance, or retreat into their safe corners, bound by their insecurities? As the officer began to address the crowd, his calm demeanor weaving a thread of unity, Jason stood there, heart still racing, wondering what this change might mean for everyone involved. Could they truly come together and reshape their narratives? But just then, a voice from the back called out, cutting through Jason's thoughts. What about the change we need? Is this just talk? Jason turned, pulse quickening again. Was this moment on the verge of something deeper? Would this lead to real transformation? As the crowd began to murmur again, he could sense the tension shifting, a ladder of expectations yet to be climbed. With hope blooming and anxiety gently tugging at him, one question punctured the air. What would it take to break free, to claim their stories as their own? Jason felt the weight of the question hang in the air, electric and thick. Without thinking, he stepped forward, determination welling up inside him. What do you want? He called out to the voice still echoing in the crowd. Because we're ready to demand that change, right? We can't just stand here waiting for someone else to change things for us. His words rolled through the gathered crowd, sparking nods of agreement. The girl beside him squeezed his hand tighter, her eyes shining with something new possibility. The leader of the boys shifted uncomfortably, his bravado visibly diminishing. Change? What change? He spat, but the tremor in his voice told Jason all he needed to know. Deep down, the boy was scared, just like everyone else. We want real connections. The girl shouted, and Jason was amazed by the fierceness in her tone. To share our stories. To be seen for who we are beyond the labels and judgments. The police officer, who had been observing the spark growing between the two groups, stepped closer. You hear that? You've all got the chance now to drop the masks. Swallow your pride and show who you really are. This is a safe space, but it starts with you. Some in the crowd began to murmur. They were feeling it now, an energy building, a crack in the wall of division. Jason saw faces light up like lanterns, eyes searching for connections that had always been just out of reach. Come on, Mia urged, stepping forward boldly. Let us share a story right now. One from each side. Let us show everyone we have more in common than we think. Jason could feel a ripple of anticipation. An idea took hold of him. I'll go first. He felt the weight of the moment as he cleared his throat. I used to think I had to fit in a box, be the athlete, the popular kid. But I was always hiding part of myself, afraid of what people would think. It took hitting rock bottom for me to realize, my story matters, no matter how it's wrapped. I'm learning to be proud of who I am. There was a pause, a collective intake of breath, then murmurs of admiration flowed among the crowd. The air felt lighter, more hopeful. The girl beside him then stepped forward, her small frame radiating strength. I was scared too. Living on the streets, I thought no one could ever love me or see me as anything more than a homeless girl. But I've learned that my past doesn't define me. I am brave, and I have dreams to write, to connect, to help others who feel invisible. And I believe in this community. The silence that followed was one of respect, a gathering of souls daring to be vulnerable. As whispers of connection flickered, Daniel nodded at the group of boys, indicating for one of them to say something. The leader hesitated, shame seeping into his eyes. I used to think if I showed weakness, everyone would turn their backs. But hearing you guys, I see now that admitting my fears doesn't make me weak. I want to change, I just don't know how. A chuckle bubbled from the crowd. Then let us find the way together. Someone shouted, igniting a flood of encouragement. Jason's heart raced faster, not just with the thrill of possibility but with the blossoming belief that healing could begin. They were on the verge of something beautiful. But before they could sink further into the emerging solidarity, a loud crash echoed from the alley nearby. All heads turned, the momentum of newly formed connections shifting to something darker. What was that? Mia whispered, her expression etched with concern. Jason's gut clenched. Something told him they weren't out of the woods yet. What lurked in the shadows could threaten everything they had just begun to build. With fear gnawing at the edges of hope, he realized this wasn't the end, it was just the beginning. What awaited them next? The crowd froze, all eyes darting toward the alley where the sound had come from. Jason felt a pulse of adrenaline surge through him as a cold wave of dread washed over the warmth they had just created. Whatever had disturbed their moment could unravel it all. Mia's grip tightened, her wide eyes reflecting both concern and curiosity. Should we go check it out? She asked, her voice trembling just enough to reveal her fear. I don't know. Jason's heart raced. The energy they had built was delicate, the moment precious. But the uncertainty in the dark alley seemed urgent. We should know what's going on. Just stay close to me. Together, they edged toward the source of the noise, the murmur of the crowd following them like a whispering ghost. The boy they had been speaking to, the leader of the group, hesitated but fell in step behind them, his shoulders squared with newfound resolve. As they approached the alley's entrance, a scrap of paper fluttered out like a bird escaping its cage. Mia picked it up, her fingers shaking. She unfolded it carefully, revealing scribbled words that made her breath hitch. It says help. They're coming. Her voice was a rush, edged with fear. Everyone leaned closer, and gasps rippled through the crowd. What does it mean? One of the boys asked, his bravado fading as his eyes searched for answers. Jason felt the group tighten around him, a small circle against an unknown threat. I don't know, Jason admitted, glancing down the alley. But we can't just ignore it. We need to look out for each other. That's what we talked about, right? Community? With a shaky breath, the leader nodded, right. Let us see what is going on together. As they moved deeper into the alley, a faint flicker of light caught Jason's eye. Someone was huddled near the wall, their silhouette trembling. The figure was small, a girl barely more than a child. Are you okay? Jason called out, stepping forward without hesitation. The girl looked up, her eyes filled with fear and surprise. I'm hiding, she stammered. Tears glistened on her cheeks. They're after me. The crowd fell silent, their earlier enthusiasm replaced with worry. Jason knelt down, trying to meet her eyes, trying to show her she wasn't alone. Who's after you? We can help. She glanced back into the shadows, her breath hitching. Some boys, they want to take me back. Jason's heart twisted. Back where? He asked, wanting to understand. They said I don't belong. That I can't have dreams, she whispered, her voice trembling. But I do. I want to be a writer just like you said. The spark of hope in her voice stabbed at Jason's heart. With a glance back at Mia and the boys, Jason felt the bond they had started to form churning into something deeper. You belong here. We all do. Each face in the crowd reflected the grit of their own stories. They had all fought against the urge to disappear. He could feel a collective strength pulsing through them, unwavering. But just as they rallied around her, the tension in the alley escalated. Shouts echoed, voices growing louder as figures emerged from the shadows. Jason's stomach tightened as he locked eyes with Mia, her expression echoing his own. What do we do? She asked quietly, fear gripping her voice again. Jason felt the weight of every story, every heart that stood beside him. They were on the brink not just of fear but of courage. They had to protect each other, to stand firm. But as the figures drew nearer, anger sparking in their disparity, he knew one thing: this was not just another fight. It was a test of everything they claimed to believe in. Could they rise together, or would the shadows swallow them whole? With thoughts racing, Jason took a step forward, resolved to face whatever threat lay ahead. The moment of truth was arriving. Would they find their strength or would they fall apart? Jason's heart thundered as the figures emerged from the shadows, their sneers and jeers cutting through the quiet night. He could feel the tension swelling around them, a palpable force that threatened to unravel everything they had built together. But this time, he wouldn't run. Not now, when it mattered most. Mia stood by his side, her hand squeezed tightly around his, and Daniel was right beside her, both ready to confront whatever challenge was to come. The group of boys loomed closer, their bravado beginning to falter as they took in the crowd of people rallying behind Jason and the girl they meant to intimidate. "Step aside, loser," the leader of the group sneered, pointing directly at Jason. "This doesn't concern you." "Actually, it does," Jason replied, steeling his nerves. "You made it our concern the moment you showed up. This girl deserves respect, just like everyone else here. We'll protect her." The crowd murmured, energy shifting as their collective support triggered something powerful. The faces surrounding them showed determination, hope woven into their expressions. The boys' shock was palpable, disbelief writ large on their faces. Jason took a step forward, emboldened. "Your judgment ends here. This community stands for kindness, not cruelty. It's time we define who we are." A moment of silence stretched, but the air was thick with expectation. The boys scoffed, attempting to regain some control. "You think we care about your little speech? You don't know what we're capable of." "Neither do you," Mia surprised herself by saying, stepping closer to Jason. "You're stronger together than you are when you act alone. This is about us. We can't afford to let division win." Her voice rang clear, piercing through their anger, calling for unity in a world that had been so focused on tearing each other down. The figures before them hesitated, realizing they were outnumbered, and their bravado began to wane. The girl near Jason looked up, her fear transforming into a hint of confidence. "You think you can take me away? You're wrong. I belong here just as much as you do and I'm not scared anymore," she added, her voice stronger than ever. Jason felt the ground beneath him shift, the tide of courage was rising. A few bystanders, emboldened by the atmosphere, took a slight step forward, each of them contributing to an unbreakable bond. "It's more than just words," one of the boys said, stepping into the light. "This is our home, and we won't let anyone silence us." Slowly, pressure began to build against the boys, their intimidation cracking under the warmth of community support. The murmurs turned to shouts of agreement, a loud chorus echoing through the alley that called for change. Jason's heart soared. This was the transformation they'd been longing for. The faces of the once hostile boys shifted from disdain to confusion, a ripple of doubt carving into their bravado. "What the hell?" one of them muttered, glancing around at all the unwavering faces of the crowd. "Your power comes from tearing others down," Jason said, his voice strong and steady. "But true strength lies in lifting each other up. You can either join us, or you can walk away. The choice is yours." One of the boys hesitated, glancing back at his friends who still wore masks of anger. But there was something in his eyes, a flicker of recognition. He was just like them. Someone searching for a place to belong. Suddenly, there was a shift in the atmosphere. "What do we want?" Mia shouted, leading the charge. "We want to be seen. We want to change our stories. Together." Jason added, raising his voice along with the others. "Together." And with that, a beautiful noise erupted. Laughter, cheers, voices rising as they came together, forming a circle of unity that pushed back against the darkness that threatened to consume them. The boys stood in confusion, but Jason could sense the power of connection growing stronger. The hesitant leader took a step back, eyes darting between Jason and Mia. Maybe we don't have to fight, he said, almost to himself, as the crowd roared in agreement. Maybe we can start over. Jason took an instinctive step toward him. Exactly. It's never too late to change, to become who you really want to be. In that moment of indescribable tension, where fear grapples with hope, something incredible happened. The energy shifted as the crowd embraced the boy, offering chances of forgiveness and understanding. The ripple effect that coursed through them was transformative, illuminating their stories, revealing that they all shared unspoken struggles. See? Jason said softly to the girl beside him, as Daniel gave her a reassuring smile. You aren't alone. We're stronger together than apart. With hearts beating in sync, Jason turned toward the alley where hope had finally broken through. They had a chance to create changes that rippled across the entire community. This was just the beginning. As Jason felt a burst of emotion, joy mixed with triumph. He lifted his chin, eyes shining with determination. Whatever threats lay ahead, they would face them together, armed with the love and strength of a tightly knit community. They were no longer just individuals fighting their battles alone, they were family. As the night faded, and dawn began to peek over the horizon, Jason knew one thing with certainty: they would keep lifting one another, day after day, transforming the world around them, proving that real change starts from within. This was their moment. This was their story, and as it spread through the community, it became a legacy to cherish: love, understanding, acceptance, and the unwavering power of standing together. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second. Your support means the world.